Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session.
Hey there, rulers. Welcome to another deck profile with yours truly, Paul Reisman. It's not Jeremy Franklin today, but that's all right. He's on his way to the GP, and I believe is streaming it as we speak. So, here's a deck profile from me. This is my Grusbalesta and Milest list, so we'll just go over some of the nitty-gritty details that I did in this version of my list. I mostly just wanted to play a combination of rulers I hadn't played before, and these are like the two that I could think of. So Grusbalesta, for those of you who are unfamiliar, he's a tag ruler, which means he can pair with another tag ruler, which in this case is going to be Milest. He fixes your stone for the first time you call a stone this turn, the beginning of the game, and then you can tap him to sacrifice a magic stone to get another one into the field rested. And that's going to be super helpful, especially with Milest. Milest gives your J-Ruler swiftness, so you can flip Grusbalesta. He deals 200 damage to target player or J-Resonator, but most importantly, especially at the beginning of the game, you can produce red, and I'll show you why that's important in just a second. But first, I want to give you the ruler side. J-Ruler side, excuse me. This card gains +2/+2 for every stone with a different name that you have in the field. And then if you control 5 or more magic stones of different names, you gain Eternal, and then all your stones can produce any color, which is super great. 700, 700, and if you have 5 stones, you have Eternal, you're swinging for 17, 17. With Institute, that's going to be even bigger, so just be aware of that. Institute is an absolutely ridiculous card, and naturally it's going to support Grusbalesta a little bit better. Of course, as you move on to my list, for some reason he's over there now, and here he is. If you flip him, he gains 300 attack for every card in your hand. And then he has natural swiftness and an enter effect to burn the board for his current attack value, which can get pretty big if you have Institute on the field. So this is kind of just a happy accident. This ruler combination was actually pretty darn good. I didn't expect Milest to be burning the board for like 27, something like that. It was kind of ridiculous when I threw him on the board, and like he was dealing like over 2k damage, which is absolutely amazing. Of course, we have Magic Stone Research Institute. Helps you to banish magic stones. It essentially costs 1, because if you cast it and sack a stone, the stone that you call from your magic stone deck as a result of this enter effect comes in untapped, which is really, really helpful. You can rest a J-Ruler to remove your opponent's graveyard from the game, which is super relevant right now in the metagame. And the way to get this out is, of course, the Reiya Sigurd package. And then if you already have Research Institute out, I just play one of Curse of Caduceus. This card makes it so that my opponent doesn't get any drain, which I think is kind of important and not to overlook. Milest coming in to deal an additional 200 damage on his ruler side is pretty useful next to this card. And then your opponent can't recover stuff, which is super, super relevant. And this will not stop rulers from being recovered, because rulers are technically not entities. But this is, in general, just a really good card, in my opinion, to just have one of. The second best card in the whole set, outside of Institute, in my opinion, is going to be Windstone Shot. Now, there's a combo that you can do. I won't detail that here, but if you guys are interested, just leave me a comment down below, and I'll detail it step by step in the comment section. But you essentially open up with Windstone Shot, and you have 2 stones on your first turn if you call a 6-age stone as your first stone of the turn with Grusbalesta. So this card is super, super good. It can function kind of like a just removal if you want it to, but essentially I have it in here to be at 2 stones on turn 1, and I think that's super relevant in this deck, especially since you're trying to flip Grusbalesta as fast as possible. Because we're playing so many different stone names, we're playing Ultra Magic Stone Golem, and Lilias Petal. These are really good, just Grusbalesta support cards in general. I really just wanted to play Lilias Petal because I think this card works really well with Grusbalesta, and I just wanted to play some of his support and just have some fun. I have a bunch of cancels. I have Welser and number 13. Of course, you're going to want to pick and choose which one of these you're going to throw down onto the chase to prevent your opponent from getting certain effects. Sometimes Welser is worth keeping in hand, so if you do flash him in with his own effect and not with his last lecture, he'll come in under Institute and he'll be a big, big boy. Assault from the Demonic World, I just wanted more removal. My opponent not having things sounds pretty good to me, but especially because I'm playing Grusbalesta, I can sacrifice a stone. Stones count as entities. I can trigger Revenge, and that's pretty good. Darksphere, this was an idea that I had. Again, I wanted to play more of Grusbalesta's support. Darksphere is honestly something I probably wouldn't ever use again, and in fact, I'm putting it in my box. Like, I'm just taking this out of my playable cards queue altogether. This card is okay. In theory, it's really good, especially in combination with Ultra Magic Stone Golem. Just being able to get that back from the graveyard, my thought was if I have multiple Reyyas in hand, I dump a Magic Stone Golem in order to play Darksphere later in the game, get it back, and all of a sudden I'm doing some pretty awesome things. But Darksphere, in general, was just a little too slow. And it required that I rest Grusbalesta, which means I couldn't flip him in that turn, so he's probably going to get cut. But he's okay. You know, in theory, he's a good card. Maybe after rotation, he'll see a little bit more play. Although, for 3-will, getting Welsered on this feels pretty bad. Anyway, just moving on from there, we're going to play two with the Necronomicon Barrier just to stop enter effects, Witch of the Fallen Kingdom to stop a ton of other searching effects, but also Quick Cast Resonator. Even though she's a 4/4, she'll get buffed by Institute, so she's going to be really big for that. Same thing with Witch with a Pointy Hat. All of these cards just sort of like work together, and I just see Institute really being the glue that holds this whole deck together in general. I don't necessarily agree with all of my stone choices, but the ones that I would think you absolutely need to have are 4 Magic Stone of the 6 Ages. This card is really good with dual rulers. Being able to just recover them, and of course we already mentioned the Windstone Shot combo with this particular deck. I think this card is super important for that reason. I play 2 Magic Stone of Knowledge, mostly because you can get to Seal 3 very quickly in this deck. By turn 2, you could potentially have another 5-color stone, which is really nice to sort of naturally have that. And then if you happen to get an extra one, that's fine. You can just sack it to Grusbalesta or to Institute. I play an Attoractia's Memoria to help me do Judgment a little bit easier, but then I also have Black Will for all the Darkness cards I have in my deck, Black Silence, and then I play one of Heaven's Rift and Gusting Skies, and I think I did this just to diversify, but I would probably pick other stone choices here. I think in my head, having access to white gave me access to things like Intimidate if I needed it, or Road to the Sacred Queen, which are really good against Violet. But I was just kind of monkeying around. Like, these 2 stones you could probably just honestly take out without much of an issue. So guys, this is the Grusbalesta Milest list that I piloted last week. Of course, I mentioned a couple of changes, but if you have any other questions or any other ideas for this deck, or if you thought this deck was interesting, let me know in the comments down below, as well as if you want that Windstone Shot combo. If that's not something you've ever heard of before, let me know down in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to detail that down there. But until next time, guys, this is Paul, signing off.